Hi, I'm Kyle.
And I'm Josh.
And we're
Fear the Queer,
a podcast that talks about everything on our gay agendas, from politics and media
to race and relationships. So sit back, relax, as we spill the tea.
Fear the Queer. That was beautiful.
That was good.
I know.
Thanks. Good evening, listeners, and welcome to yet another episode of Fear the Queer.
On tonight's episode, we will be talking about body image and how we feel about our bodies. But before we begin, Josh, what are we drinking tonight?
Well, since we're talking about our bodies, we're drinking a cocktail called Get Me Bodied. Because who doesn't love a Beyonce reference?
Yes, Get Me Bodied.
Cheers, queers.
That's nice. We will have the recipe on our Instagram. So before we begin, we're going to do a little game we like to call Tea for Two, where one of us gives us two options to spill the tea on. Now, if we don't like those options, we're given a third option that we must talk about. So because I gave Josh two options before, Josh, your turn. You get to give me two options tonight, and I'm ready for it.
Well, it's going to be Chicago-based.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, hey, holla if you don't live in Chicago. You know.
Sorry you don't know.
Google.
Yeah. So the first option is Lori Lightfoot winning the mayor election, becoming the first black LGBTQ mayor in history, I think.
Yes.
And then second is, what do you think about the whole Jussie Smollett fiasco?
Ooh. All right, let me take a drink of this. Get me bodied. Okay. All right. You know, I'm gonna spill the tea on Lori Lightfoot.
Okay.
Okay. Here's what I think, because I think Jussie, that's a lot to unpack.
Right.
That's a lot to unpack. Yeah. With Lori Lightfoot, I genuinely, as like an LGBTQ person, feel very excited for this woman of color who is also a lesbian to win and be a mayor of Chicago. That being said, it is a complicated feeling because she is very tied to like police.
Yeah.
And kind of like, you know, things that I don't necessarily always agree with. So I'm hoping that
she has a background in the police academy.
Well, there was, you know, she's, I don't want to say pro-police academy, and honestly, if you're listening, correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
But I think she wants to put up, like, mini police academies. Supposedly, that's the rumor. The thing is that, like, I find out a lot of information on Instagram, which isn't always a good thing.
The greatest source.
Yeah, I know. But, yeah, no, my initial reaction is excitement. When that comes down, I'm kind of like, all right, Lori, like, stick to your guns.
Right.
Like, please, like, be a fair mayor.
Yeah.
Show the country that, like, all right,
it's not just a novelty act.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's not just a novelty act that, like, a queer woman of color can run a major city in the United States.
Right.
I think she will do well.
I think she will too.
Because I think that people are going to hold her accountable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she has a lot to hold up to.
Yeah. Most of the queer community was, you know, had there been like, all right, Lori's going to win, and was rooting for her. So that being said, like Toni Preckwinkle, she seemed like a good candidate too. Either way, Chicago is going to have a woman of color as
that being said, Toni Preckwinkle, she charged me $6 for the spritzer here.
Well, she did at one point in her career. But either way, Chicago was going to be historical to have regardless. A woman of color as president, or as mayor, not president. Girl, you're drunk.
Yeah, I was gonna say delusions of grandeur.
I would love to be president.
Okay.
So like, wait. Let me flip this on you.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll stick to.
I like how it's tea for two and it's my turn, and you still want to ask me.
I like being in charge.
Oh, fair. Okay, what?
So we'll stick to kind of like election-wise. So how are you feeling about all of these 2020 candidates for the Dems, like, stepping forward? Do you think it's kind of like a lot right now?
it's actually really messy.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of eagerness to want to step up to the plate to run the country, which is totally understandable, which how it is right now.
For sure.
But I also feel like just like the mess happened in 2016, you need to realize that I want to have a leader that's actually going to not be focused on themselves just to win. And I feel like that was a lot with Hillary's campaign. It was more of just like, she just wants to be it's just like the first woman president, you know? It has nothing to do with the fact of, like, to be quite honest, her shady background, which I didn't necessarily agree with, or the fact that the DNC completely screwed over Bernie in 2016. I'm not even, like, a huge Bernie Sanders fan either. So I feel like for this race, I don't know. It's just like there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and
there needs to be a few prep chefs and a few sous chefs before we can get the head chef putting out the main course. Makes sense?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Not to spill your tea, but
if I had to choose out of anybody, I would go Bernie and then Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Kamala.
Here's the thing, identity politics gets complicated.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, Kamala, on paper, you're like, okay,
sounds like phenomenal.
You're a woman of color, like, okay, but she's so tied to, it's a little bit of my reservations with Lori Lightfoot in Chicago, is I get a little worried because they're so tied to the prison industrial complex that I'm like,
and for-profit
prisons, that I'm like, are you, like, if they came forward and were like, girl, we're different now.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. I'm all for people changing their stance. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I'm all for people I'm all for people learning.
Yeah.
And growing.
Right.
Not necessarily changing their stance for votes, but learning and growing for their stance. But we'll see. I mean,
it's right around the corner.
I'm a big Bernie fan.
Yeah.
I love an old man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
The 1%!
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of which, let's dive right into the main topic of tonight.
Okay. Speaking of which.
Okay, so let's dive into the main topic of tonight, which is body
image.
Which is something that you actually chose that you wanted to talk about.
I did, because, like, let's be real. We all have images of our body. When we were
so insightful.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. As queer people, we always are critiqued by the rest of society on how our bodies are supposed to look.
Well, not just queer people.
Not just queer people, everyone in general, but I think that, like, you and I can speak as queer people.
Right, I think that, yeah.
Yeah. You know, even supermodels have issues with their bodies.
Right.
So I think about, like, you know, like Leslie Gore said, it's my party and I'll cry if I want to. I think, like, it's my body and I'll cry if I want to when I look in the mirror sometimes. Like, it is hard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we should rejoice and feel good about ourselves. So this discussion is going to have Josh and I dissecting what about our bodies we like and why we feel the way we do. So to start this discussion, Josh, how do you feel about your body today?
Despite the fact that I feel like I would like to have 6-pack abs, I am...
You don't?
I do not, actually.
Oh.
I have a little bit of a muffin top. Not a muffin top, but just like a little cushion right here.
Oh, some cushion for the pushin'.
Yeah. Other than that, I actually feel very good in my body today.
Good.
Yeah. How about you?
Today, I'm feeling okay.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I feel like a 6.5.
Okay.
And, you know, I feel like I'm dressed
Is it
how I
the Taco
want.
Bell you had the other day?
Oh, girl, that would put me at a straight 11. You know, everyone, literally everyone on this face of the planet is dealing with some sort of body image that we can't control necessarily. I knew for me as a young little BB Kyle, I was dealing with, like, body dysmorphia, even though I did not have the kind of vocabulary to explain that. So, like, I'm a chubby person, and that's okay. Like, I don't necessarily consider myself, like, morbidly obese, which is also an okay thing to be.
Right.
But, you know, I'm chubby. Again, a little bit more cushion for the pushing.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to love with me. A little bit more thick, as some people say. But I knew that I had issues with my body. So I think that, like, as an adult, we kind of, I don't know, I always feel conflicted. Like, when did you realize, or did you realize as a kid, were you conflicted with your body as a kid?
I mean, I've always been conflicted with my body because even though people make comments all the time about how skinny I am, about how small I am, I used to be a chunky kid at one point. So
Yes, for the chunks.
yes. So I have a condition called primary immune deficiency. And for those of people who don't know, it just means that I have a really weakened immune system, which affected me a lot more when I was younger. So because of that, I was put on a lot of steroids growing up in order to be able to fight off common colds and things like that.
Like, survive.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Steroids then caused me to blow up like a balloon. Like, I was just like this big, chunky, fat 5th grader. And there's still parts of that still affect me because I noticed, like, on parts of my body where I'm just like, oh, I could tell that was affected because of my weight. Yeah, because of my weight.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, it was harder for me to lose belly fat. It was harder for me to gain, you know, more definition in my chest. You know, things that, like, I feel like guys typically, like, your chest and your belly tend to get bigger first. Anyway, now that I'm older and I feel like luckily I benefit from working out at a gym, so I'm able to just go upstairs and work out whenever I want to. I feel more comfortable in myself. But what's interesting is the fact that I feel more comfortable in a more traditionally masculine, fit body, something that you would see in any magazine, you know, like Men's Health.
Sure.
But I'm becoming more in tune with my feminine side as I'm getting older too. So I think it's kind of interesting how it's like a duality. Like, the more masculine I've become physically in my body, presenting wise, the more comfortable I am to express my femininity.
That's really, I kind of, like, props to you.
Yeah.
Because I think that, like, the duality of masculine and feminine is very complicated for a lot of queer people. I feel like it's very complicated for me. To kind of reclaim those things that as a child you're told not to do. Like, do you remember being a kid and, like, having some sort of feminine quality, whether it was, like, switching your hips or putting your, like, being dramatic or whatever little feminine thing.
Like,
yeah, with the hand wrist, the limp wrist. Limp wrist. Like, did that, like, affect you as an adult? Because it affected me.
What do you mean by affecting? Like, did it...
It's still, like, I still... am
conscious of doing it.
Conscious of doing it, yeah. Not so much now, but, like, as, like, growing as a human.
As a kid, yes. Especially, like, you know, like, the phrase, like, gays don't sit normally in chairs whatsoever. As I'm sitting, like, in, like cross-legged. Yeah.
You look comfy, though.
Yeah. I knew at a young age, like, guys are supposed to, like... It's funny, too, like, I never feel comfortable sitting down with my legs spread open like this.
No. Why do I don't want to assume, but why do straight men do that?
I don't know. I never
Why are you taking up space with your thighs? You're not... Why?
Well, I just feel like my genitals are out so far.
They are. Why are you presenting? I smell fish.
Oh, thank you.
Makes me want tartar sauce.
Ew. So I did, like, where are we going with this? I don't even remember.
We're talking about, like, having, like, feminine qualities as a child.
Yeah. Like,
and then you, like, did spread eagle.
Yeah.
And I was like...
number 17.
And I was like,
spread eagle.
Thank goodness you're wearing a jock strap tonight. It's...
Yeah. Anyway, so I never felt comfortable presenting myself in a traditional... masculine way, which also, side note, like, I don't even know what that means.
No, I get that, because I feel like, I mean, I'm not going to deny that there is a binary of masculine and feminine, and I don't think that either of those are necessarily bad things.
No.
They're bad when they become toxic and they are enforced on people to be a certain way.
Right, just because of your assigned sex at birth.
Exactly. But I get that. I feel like I was a very feminine child. Very dramatic. And I began to police how I...
Did you hate it when you had to split up between boys and girls in gym class?
It would make me want to cry.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
it was
the most traumatizing thing.
It was literally, and I still to this day, like, I'm triggered.
Yeah.
Like, I hated doing that. I just felt like my people was amongst the girls, and even at that, I still did not feel like I was amongst the girls. I was just like, I just knew I didn't want to be with the little boys.
Yeah. No.
It's hard. I think that, like, there are traditional values of how people present themselves when it comes to the binary, like masculine, feminine. And as a child, you're kind of enforced to be a certain way. And us as, like, queer people, it gets a little confusing.
Yeah, it does. Well, where do you identify today in terms of just who you are as a person?
It's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
I think that, like, if you asked me 2 years ago, I'd be like, oh, I'm just, like, a gay guy. And I think now I identify more as, like, queer, or, like, there's a gender fluidity that is a part of my identity. And I think that that has complicated my view of my body. Because growing up, like you said, I didn't want to be, like, with the boys, but I also didn't want to be with the girls. And I viewed myself as just, like, I think I talked about this in, like, the first episode. They're like, I felt like I told people I was half cat, or half man, half woman, half cat, half dog.
Oh, yeah.
At, like, 5 or 6 years old. And I think that, like, I added the half cat, half dog. For all you furries out there, that's not where we're going with this.
Sorry.
No shame on your kink, but no, that's not what we're doing. But I was identifying both with masculine and feminine qualities within my identity. And I think growing up, you kind of police yourself in order to survive. You police how your body is viewed to society. And I mean, I think a lot of society informs how we present. How we view ourselves. In a lot of different areas. Like,
like, even you go on Instagram and you see all the people that you follow, and they present themselves in an image that might not necessarily even be them.
Oh, definitely.
But it just reflects on, like, oh, well, I want to get so many likes, so this is what I have to do to pose or to present myself in order to get those followers or likes.
Oh, definitely. Like, I think that, like, it's weird because Instagram is, like, a love-hate for me. I love Instagram because I'm able to find people that identify the way that I identify. And prosper and grow and show themselves in a, like, just a natural way. But it's also bad because then you have people who buy into a toxic form of the binary. Or a thing that, like, what is a man? What is a woman? What are their bodies supposed to look like? Like, I mean, we watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
We watch a lot of TV and movies. So a woman, how would you say a traditional woman would look?
Oh, yeah. Definitely had curves. Shaven. Usually has some form of long hair.
Long hair, probably. Yeah, give me the boobs. Give me titties and butt.
Yeah, clean, like
tiny
clean
little
cut.
waist.
Yep.
Yeah, and guys would be just super
masculine build. You can put him in any shirtless scene and it sells, that type of thing. Because even with, like, piggybacking off of that, like, even, like, the Asian examples that I can talk about on TV, like, we have Conrad Rickamore from How to Get Away from Murder, Harry Shum Jr. in Shadowhunters, and then Alex Landy from Grey's Anatomy, all representing queer, bisexual, gay, Asian men on TV that I can be like, oh, like, I could look into that. I do not have the body of Harry Shum Jr. whatsoever.
Well,
I mean,
that we know of.
Don't get me wrong.
That we know of.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the nudes, Josh. And the listeners are waiting for the nudes.
Right. My OnlyFans, I'm kidding.
Are you?
No.
No, you're not kidding.
Oh, no, I am kidding.
Oh, he's kidding.
My OnlyFans are just consistent.
Okay, then who am I subscribed to named Josh Bonnie? I'm concerned. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Anyway,
Go ahead.
no, it's okay.
So, sexual Asian beings.
Yeah, even...
Should be the title of your memoir.
Yes, it should. Basically, what I'm saying is that even with that alone, like, representation amongst, like, the gay Asian community, hey, fantastic. Applause. And I'm not going to not deny that the characters of what they're representing are very important.
Sure.
That being said, again, they're all hunky men. Now, I'm not mad about it whatsoever, but it's also like you have to remember that it still ties into the fact that they're saying this is what you should look like. This is how you should present yourself in order to be successful.
It's hard because, like, any sort of, like, cis white gay on TV is traditionally, like, ripped. And because
Or they're exact opposite, and they are someone like Jack from Will and Grace.
Well, super effeminate, but still, they're not fat.
No, they're still very skinny.
Like, I'm a fat person, and that's okay. And also that goes into my body image. Like, I think it's okay to say that you're a fat person, to say that you're chubby, to say that you're skinny, whatever the fuck you are, it's okay. But when watching television, I'm like, I don't see myself being a sexual being, like a character being a sexual being as I identify. That being said, have you watched Shrill on Hulu?
I have not yet.
Okay, here's the tea. I love Shrill, starring Adie Bryant on Hulu. It's a great show. You can watch it in 3 hours. It's like 20-minute episodes. And basically her character is a sexual being, and Adie Bryant is not a small person. While I don't identify as a cisgendered woman, there's something powerful about seeing a body that is othered by society and by the media having sexual intimacy on TV that made me go like, oh yeah, we can do that. That is a possibility for me.
Right. Well, it's interesting too because you wouldn't think that someone, like what you said, cisgender white woman could then still appeal to someone who is a genderqueer man. Well, I don't even know if should I call you man or
I'm okay. The thing is that, like, I'm okay with any kind of pronouns.
Yeah.
But what hurts is when people assume.
Yeah.
I think, like, the best thing is, like, being an ally to people is just, like, which we talked about in the last episode, is just asking. Or just, like, not assuming what people are. Everyone's different. It's all good, sis. But, yeah, no, it is weird that she would appeal to me.
Right, exactly. Which goes into my next question, too. This actually has to do with more of, like, your personal life. So, you have Grindr.
I do.
You do.
I do.
Which, I mean, hey, I had Grindr, too.
You did, but you're in a relationship now, so...
I am. Oh, side note.
Oh, yeah.
It's official now. We're boyfriends.
It's official. Snaps for being official.
Yes. Anyway. Sorry, that's my one shout out to you, boo. Anyway.
Stop. That's cute. That's cute. You know who I'm shouting out?
McDonald's?
No, the 7-Eleven guy that I'm going to meet up later. Hey, baby, give me the Totitos. I didn't even say Tostitos, right? I said...
Totitos.
I said, give me the Totitos.
Titties.
I got them, too.
Anyway, my next question is, because you have Grindr, and I understand that the app is trying to do things where it's just like you don't have to necessarily identify as man or cis male or things like that. But there's still options on there where you can filter out people who don't necessarily meet your quota of who you want.
Is there really?
Yeah, you could say like, I only want to see people of the bear race.
Oh.
The bear race.
The bear race.
Yeah. The bear tribe or the...
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So... how does it feel knowing that you still have to categorize yourself on a dating app in order to be presented as who you are?
Girl, it sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, like, there's so many, we call it genres?
Yeah.
Genres within, like, the gay community.
Subcategories?
What category are we on right now?
Oh, I don't know.
I was asking. Because there's, like, what? Twink?
Yeah, there's
bear,
twink,
the twink,
jock,
bear, jock,
daddy.
Daddy.
Twunk.
Twunk. Yeah, the twink /
Chub.
hunk. Chub.
Hunk.
Hunk. Wolf.
Which, like, what the fuck is a wolf?
A wolf is... a wolf is someone who is, like, really well in shape and very well in shape. A little hairy, and likes to have a lot of sex.
Wait, isn't that a bear?
No, a bear is someone who is a little chubbier. They're not in super good shape.
Well, whatever. Their hair... See, this is the thing.
No, exactly. It's like fucked up because like I'm like, I don't want to identify as any of those.
Right, and why does it have to be the fact that it has to do with like if you're in shape or not? You know what I mean?
You have to ask whoever came up with these words.
I feel like
I did not.
I feel like they're very outdated.
They are outdated. I'm hoping that we are getting to a place where, in at least like the gay cis community, we can just not identify with things that seem so like arbitrary. Like if you're into someone, just be into them.
Well, we're already the other, so why are we still subcategorizing ourselves as another other?
Well, I think that goes into a topic that I'm interested in is dun 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 society. I think that society
so general.
Let me be specific.
Yeah.
Society. I think that society values masculine over the feminine. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be more perspectives of gay men, cis gay men, than there are from anyone within the marginalized community that is still considered the other.
Right.
So, of course, you're going to get, like, the bear, cub, twink, otter, jock, daddy, twunk,
right,
wolf.
Yeah. Giraffes.
Where am I? I'm the unfrosted cupcake.
Yeah.
That is my body type. I'm an unfrosted cupcake.
So I guess my question for you is, so we live in a capitalist society where advertising and media is basically telling you this is what you should look like.
Yes.
This is, who you should live up to. Mm-hmm. My question for you is, what attracts you? What attracts you in ads? What attracts you in...
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Because my thing is that, like, in a capitalist society, they benefit off of us feeling shitty about our bodies. Mm-hmm. Like, Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, America. But
thanks,
like,
Obama.
Thanks, Obama. Right. But, like, girl, it was before him. But I think that, like, in a capitalist society, because they benefit off of our... I don't know, feeling insecure about our bodies, feeling shitty about our bodies.
Right. And then we go out and, like,
we go to gyms. We go to plastic surgeons. We go to...
McDonald's, because we are so full of self-hatred. We're just like, you know what? We'll make it worse.
Well, even think about that. That it's the idea of going to McDonald's and eating something that's going to make our bodies, I guess, quote-unquote, worse.
Well, I feel like scientifically speaking, shoving, like... a shit ton of fries down your body is probably not
okay,
the best.
well, maybe, like, scientifically. Like, obviously, there are... according to science, working out does make you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
And, like... Which is interesting because, like, when I started working out, it wasn't necessarily, like, a capitalist endeavor. Mm-hmm. It was more so, like, wow, I have a lot of cute clothes that I got a little bit too chubby for, and I want to fit into them again.
Yeah.
I'm wearing this shirt tonight. I was too chubby last time I wore it.
Really?
Yeah, do you like it?
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. But, God, I bitch about capitalist society. I'm like, I got a shirt. I think what the problem is that, like, maybe media gets it. Maybe our society is starting to get it. But all bodies are valid. All bodies are beautiful, whether you are cis, whether you're trans, whether you're white, whether you're a person of color, whether you're male, whether you're female, whether you're something else. Mm-hmm. It's all valid.
Yeah.
And I think certain companies are starting to pick up on that and understand that, which sucks because I feel like we buy into things that
make us want to feel
good about ourselves. So if you see something on TV... or if you see something in an advertisement that portrays a body that you identify with, you're going to buy into that. Mm-hmm. You know? It's a little shitty. I don't know.
So like my question asks, what do you feel attracted to? What is it that makes you feel like, oh, I want to buy this. I want to do that.
You know, literally, it's glitter.
Okay.
I'm not being funny. It's flash, it's glitter, it's print. it's not necessarily a gender. It's not necessarily a personality. What attracts me is creating myself, because I think that we're taught that
Like creating your own sense of identity.
Exactly, because I feel like I've grown up being told that my body wasn't valid. Mm-hmm. Even in a matter of words, like being a kid and being like the fat one at Boy Scouts, or like, like all the skinny Boy Scouts and I'm the fat one. Or even as a high schooler, like I mean, I'm very frank about this. I was starving myself when I was a senior in high school because I wanted a sense of control over my body. Mm-hmm. And I think as I've gotten older, I gain that sense of control by how I dress, by getting tattoos. Like, some people are like, oh, well, that's like really trivial. You're just getting a tattoo. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm reclaiming a part of myself. I'm gaining power to a body that has been told by the rest of society isn't valid or isn't important or doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of, it's kind of my fuck you. Yeah. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to do what I want. Like, when you're a kid and you play dress up.
Right.
And you put on costumes or you put on makeup, and it's an imaginary world you live in. As an adult, putting on looks, putting on makeup, whatever it might be, is my reality. It makes me feel beautiful. So it's kind of like the same way that people will go to the gym and have six packs.
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily fault them for that, because I do the same thing with mascara.
Right. And sort of like just buying into what you think makes you feel good.
Right. I think everyone has an idea of what makes their body, what makes them feel beautiful. Mm-hmm. Whether that goes into a capitalist endeavor, whether it goes into, like, I don't know, some sort of self-discovery. Something that bothers me is, are you ever annoyed when people are like, oh my God, summer's coming, I have to get ready for the beach body?
Well, I am very much guilty of saying that, so no, I'm not mad about people saying that, because I am one of them.
Okay.
And, I mean, I'm totally 100%...
What is a beach body, though?
Well...
I'm not faulting you. I'm just saying, like, what do you identify as, like, a beach body?
For me, a beach body is just being 100% comfortable with taking off my clothes at the beach and feeling like this is my best presented body. Now, in my mind, it means that I am more toned, I am more muscular, I am more traditionally masculine looking. To someone else, they could be big and beautiful and be like, you know what, this is my beach body and I feel great in it. I think it took a long time for people to realize that that's still okay. It's still a beach body.
I don't think that people do realize that.
No,
I think that...
I still think people don't.
Yeah, as someone who deals with having... Like, I used to say, like, I have a beach body. Even whales are beached. Mm-hmm. And you know how damaging that is?
Right, it's so self-deprecating.
Self-deprecating. Like, fuck that.
Whales are beautiful.
Like they are beautiful, and they live really long, so here's to that. But I think that there's something really damaging about queer people trying to make fun of themselves. Mm-hmm. That I'm trying to not do so much, because, like, being, like, a queer, chubby person, like, it's weird, because it's, like, part of me wants to work out and have that masculine body, because that is what society has deemed as more fuckable. Yeah. But there's another part of me that's like, well, screw that. I don't want to do that. Yeah. Like, why should I have to change myself in order to fit into a standard that I don't even believe to be valid?
Which makes me bring up a question to you. Do you ever catch yourself in a moment where you're just like, wow, I just realized that I just bought into, like, a society norm of what I think is attractive?
That is an easy answer. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, literally,
I feel like we're all guilty.
We're all guilty. I think what's hard for me is I try hard to not be a part of a societal standard. And there are days with, like, my dysmorphia, like, I'll look at myself in the mirror and be like, you look really good. Like, you've lost some weight. You're looking a little bit more traditionally masculine. And then literally 5 seconds later, I flip the switch and I think, like, well, what the fuck? Why should I have to positively about that. And then there are days that I'm really fat. I'm real fat. I'm bloated. I've eaten too much. And I'm like, all this cushiness.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an ongoing thing for me. Like, I don't think I'll ever be satisfied necessarily with my body, except, like, we're given this vessel.
Mm-hmm.
We have to use this vessel. Like, you have to do what you want with it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to get plastic surgery, go for it. If you're going to work out a lot, go for it. If you're going to get tattooed,
as long
go
as it
for
doesn't
it.
hurt yourself, go for it.
Exactly. Like, I think what people fail to realize is that they put more standards on what others think than what will make them happy, because there's a lot of pressure.
Right, because I feel like because it is true, like anybody who feels completely comfortable in their own skin and in their own body, you tend to not notice their flaws as much. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of a weird concept to think.
It's very weird. Because I feel like I'm a confident person.
Yeah.
But I'm very aware of the flaws of my body.
Yeah.
As probably most people are. But it
But whatever are flaws to you may not necessarily be flaws to someone else.
Exactly. Like, me being like, wow, I have really dark circles under my eyes. People might just be like, wow, I really like your eyes.
Right.
You know, or I don't know. What do people say nice about you?
Nice. Oh, not many things.
Oh, shut up. Joshua, shut up. Like, what if they're like, wow, we love you have a great smile.
A lot of people,
You have a great smile.
A lot of people say I have a great smile.
But you might think, like,
wow. I was just like, wow. I feel like a lot of times I actually am just like, wow, my teeth are really fucking yellow today.
Do not think that. Also, if they are, okay. I'm just like, own it. It's body image. Just be positive.
But it's funny too, because like the things that people compliment you on too is also something that you also try to focus on to make sure that they're like retained.
Right.
You know, so people do compliment me on my smile a lot. So I'm always just like focusing and picking at my teeth, being like, oh, did I look okay today? Because that's my strong points, you know. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever felt guilty about that.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that people don't always compliment me on a physical level as much as it's a personality level. Like, wow, you're really positive.
But I'm going to call you out on that.
What?
Do you feel like you utilize your personality to mask any physical insecurities you may have about yourself?
I definitely do. And I think that I do that because I have trauma that I am not willing to investigate necessarily.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I think that, I mean, it's people who are extroverted or introverted, we're doing the same thing. We're trying to hide away from the rest of society. Mm-hmm. Like, I use my extrovertedness because I am shy. I am a bit insecure about myself, but being extroverted makes you forget that I am.
Yeah.
It makes you not look at me in a way that I view myself.
Right. Well, and being shy and introverted aren't the same thing either. It just means that just how you...
I'm a shy extrovert.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, too, because you get energy off of other people.
I do.
Yeah, and you like to be validated.
Well, who doesn't?
No.
Everyone loves to be validated.
I'm just saying, you're a Leo, you know?
Oh, yeah, I am. Every time you say I'm a Leo, I get $10 in my bank account. I'm just joking. I'm not sponsored by anyone. So are there spaces that have been designed for us as queer people that you feel more or less comfortable in because of the body that you inhabit?
In regards to, like, a location?
A club. Like, let's say you go out to a bar, you go out to a club, a gay club. Do you feel like the body I have also can inhabit this place?
I feel like I'm privileged enough to feel like I can go anywhere and feel comfortable with who I am.
Okay, work, mom. Like,
yeah, no.
I was gonna say mama, but you're straight up mom.
Mom. Yeah. Oh my god, I've reached that threshold. I personally feel like I feel like I have a lot of privilege with my body in a lot of ways because I'm 5'4" 5 on a good day.
You can fit into a lot of suitcases.
Yeah, I'm like 130 pounds.
It sounds like you're getting ready to box someone.
Yeah.
Like, what's your weight range?
No. Well, what I'm saying is that I feel like because of that, I tend to not seem as a threat to heterosexual norms, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm able to fit into a lot of places, and people just kind of... I literally had straight guys tell their girlfriends, they're just like, I'm not gay, but Josh is, like, adorable. I just want to, like, take care of him. I've literally had someone say that to
That's
me.
really interesting, because I feel like that goes into their concept of, like, I mean, you can be like, Kyle, no. But, like, as someone who's Asian, like, do you think that society has a concept of, like, oh, these Asian bodies need to be taken care of because there's this concept of, like, smallness or, like, neediness?
I have no idea. It could be.
Straight men, answer.
It could be. I think that is a valid point.
I don't know. My first thought was like, well, that's weird. And
it's just interesting because I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing that is any different than, let's say, what you're doing and presenting. But I feel like because I'm petite and small, I somehow get this privilege of like, oh, I'm just cute and small and like perky. Yeah. So I need to be taken care of.
It's wild.
Yeah. So I feel like luckily, to answer your question, I don't really have to worry about a lot of things in terms of
if you're comfortable
my
with
physical
people,
body in places. Despite the fact that sometimes I get a racial comment thrown at me every once in a while. That's just whatever.
That's still part of your body.
Right. Well, yeah. That's true.
You know, it's still... I don't know. I think sometimes going into these gay spaces, if you don't look a certain way... I mean, it's taken a long time, but now I kind of own it. I'm just kind of like, all right, whatever. Sometimes there will be comments made, and you're like, oh, I feel shitty. I feel shitty about myself. But, you know, having I don't want to say a less desirable body, but a body that is different.
Not traditional.
Not a traditional in the... Traditionally
advertised body.
Thank you. A traditionally advertised body. Can complicate things sometimes. You know, even bartenders treat you differently sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Well, and then it makes me wonder, like, how do you compensate with that?
A lot of affirmations in the mirror.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, people think I'm full of myself. I wake up every day going like, I hate myself, but you know what, bitch? I have to own this body. Yeah. You get one fucking body. It's fat. It's annoying. It doesn't... Like, who gives a fuck? If you don't own your shit, people will own you.
So what was the worst experience you've ever had to deal with in a bar that had to do with your physicalness?
I wouldn't say it was a bar, but it actually happened at Market Days.
Okay. Last year's?
Yeah, last year. So Market Days, for those who are not familiar, is like a gay, like street fair in Boys Town in Chicago. And Josh and I and our friend Matt were walking around and having a good time.
Yep.
And we ended up walking through, there was like a stage and there was like circuit, like club music playing. And everyone in that crowd was like muscular, white, and shirtless.
And they all smelled terrible.
well, yeah.
That was just that's just my opinion.
But like, I remember taking away from that, I felt so like not a part of what was happening. And so aware of how I presented my body in that moment, because no one besides me probably weighed more than 160 pounds. You know what I mean? Which I don't weigh that much, but I weigh more. It made me very aware of myself that, hey, they're all having a good time and I think that's great, but it's not a welcoming space.
Yeah.
Like it's if anything, it's not unwelcoming. It's more of like who gives a fuck about you? You in your 80s blouse. Like, yeah. I'm kind of
the funny thing is, too, is that ironically enough, they all looked alike and they all looked the same.
They all looked alike. I don't know. I mean, everyone own your own body.
Did something happen to you? Or, like, what is that the worst for you?
I did have someone wipe their brow, their sweaty brow, and wipe it onto me and dance into the crowd. And it just made me feel like, you know what, you're only here to be someone to wipe up my sweat. Like, you're not here to have a good time with your friends. You're not here to enjoy the music that's being played. And like Market Days is advertised as a space for people of all sexes and genders and sexualities to come and enjoy and have a good time. And then you present this like cis white male muscular party. Mm-hmm. And if you're not that kind of body trying to enjoy yourself, you're looked at as, you know, I'm going to wipe my sweat on you.
Yeah. And
then I'm going to walk away. I remember being like, fuck you! Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it came off as, like, funny at the time, but I think that really has affected me, being just like, you know what, just own it, girl. Like, if they don't like you, that doesn't matter. You are someone, like, someone will like you, and if not, just like yourself. Mm-hmm. You need to wake up every morning and straight up Mulan, who is that girl I see? In the mirror.
Yeah.
And be like, that girl is someone that
will save China.
I hope so. Mulan.
Yeah.
Come through.
Right.
I love Mulan. But you need to wake up and you need to look in the mirror and you need to be like, you know what, this is the body you have, this is the look you have. Mm-hmm. And unless you have the money, the time, or experience to change or alter what that is, which is fine, this is what you get to work with. So own it.
Yeah. Well, do you think you ever would alter your body to make yourself feel more comfortable?
I don't know. I joke that I would get like Botox.
Yeah.
Or I get like lip injections. I don't know if I would though.
No.
I honestly don't think, I don't know. Which is fine if other people do. I am very pro like plastic surgery. I think...
I actually complimented Kyle the other day. That was funny because he came in
the
other day to work and he just had this like funny like glow to him.
I had a lot of cover up on my face.
He did. And I just kind of turned to him. I was just like, wow, you look very plastic surgery today.
And I said, are you meaning plastic or plastic surgery? And Josh said...
plastic surgery.
And I said, thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's a compliment. Yeah. I think, like, if good plastic surgery is good plastic surgery, honey. I don't know. Like, maybe some Botox. Honestly, I don't know. There's a part of me that rejects that.
Yeah.
But then there's another part of me that's like, hey, if you got the finances to do it, do it.
Do it, honey.
What about you?
If I could, yeah, I would.
What would you have done?
I would get rid of my stomach fat.
Would you give it to me?
I mean, if you want it.
I mean, it's kind of like the more the merrier.
No, I just shove it in my ass.
You have a man now. You don't need to have your fat from your stomach shoved in your ass. Also, again,
up my ass.
Again. Oh, you mean like to give yourself more of a booty?
Yeah.
Girl, you got a booty.
All right, thank you. No,
I thought you meant up your ass, and I was about to be like, there's not a lot of stomach fat and no tea. Like, I know you said you're like, I'm not skinny, but like, there's not enough stomach fat to really pleasure you. So clearly we have very complicated feelings about our bodies. Mm-hmm. So how do we deal with body image? Like, how do you deal with body image?
How do I deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was talking about, like, looking in the mirror and just being like, you're a tough bitch. But, like, how do you do it?
Well, this sounds super self-centered of me.
No, go for it.
I've always just kind of had this sort of self-confidence where I was just like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. I don't give a fuck what people think of me. Because I'm automatically born of someone who's never going to fit into the ideal situation.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, like, having the complete rejection of what I'm supposed to look like and just going with whatever I want to do, whatever I think looks good, mm-hmm. I think that is how I deal with it.
There's a power in that.
And I also feel like I'm just very lucky enough to know that I consider myself to be a very good-looking man. And I don't know. I never had to, like, even though I've had body image issues and even though I've had to deal with insecurities like every other person in this mm-hmm. world, I somehow have been very lucky and privileged enough to just be like, you know what? Even if I'm not perfect, I think I look good.
I think that's great. I think that part of like dealing with like body image is rejecting what society might tell you you're supposed to look like. Like, stop checking in on what other people are doing.
Right.
Like, own what you're doing.
Yeah.
And there's like a nice self-acceptance there.
There is.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Now, there's a difference between actually believing it in yourself and just telling yourself that. But I always say fake it till you make it.
I fake it every single day.
Even your orgasms?
With my, yeah.
Even with yourself?
Even with myself. I'm just like,
so
that was
good.
so good. And I'm like, really, baby? And I light a cigarette and I'm just like, ooh, burn. Just kidding, I don't smoke.
Well, actually, now I have one last question for you before we wrap up here.
Sure.
Because you've had sort of a new revelation this week of your identity and what you want to come to terms with in terms of gender identity and how it correlates with your body. Where do you see yourself in 6 months?
Probably doing what I've been doing. I think that, like, it's a slow but sure process. And honestly, like, I've been going to the gym more, which is less a cosmetic thing and more of, like, it makes me feel good.
I mean, working out at the gym is also healthy for you.
Yeah, it's like healthy, but like I'm just like I'm going to listen to some podcasts, like, and not this podcast. Like, I don't listen to our podcast, but
lying.
I listen to other podcasts.
20 of our viewers are him.
I gave us 2 stars. But I think that like I'll still be working out. I'll still be dealing with like how I view myself and how I navigate this world that is designed for heteronormative people. What?
People.
I know. Well, I'm trying to think of like the words. Like, I how do you navigate this world that has been designed, or at least our society has been designed for heteronormative people that fit into a binary.
People, man.
Men that fit into a binary. It's an ongoing process. I think the only thing I can do is just keep living my fucking life. And maybe being more comfortable with, like, speaking up when people, like, will comment on my body, if they do comment on my body or comment on my identity. Because I think that, like, identity, sex, gender, media, it all ties into how we view ourselves. So, like, how I view myself definitely correlates to how I view my gender, or how I view myself definitely correlates to how I view my sexuality or sex, or, you know, engaging in sex. So I think just like owning it.
Yeah.
It is. It's just a self-acceptance. Whatever body you have, it's a self-acceptance. Honey, even straight men have issues.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm not saying that they're completely out of it either.
I know. I just felt like we should mention them.
No, I know.
Our silent listeners.
I mean, there are some great straight men out there who are nice allies who are here to lift us up just as much as we are here
I would like to see you lift me.
Dirty Dancing.
Oh, Patrick Swayze. Josh and I did have a hetero.
One of those.
A straight guy say that he would love to look like Patrick Swayze in Dirty Dancing.
Well, I mean, and who doesn't?
I don't.
Oh. You want to be the sister?
No, I don't want to be anyone from Dirty Dancing. You know what I want to be? The poodle skirt.
Okay.
Flowy. And fits really nice. That's not even a character. That's not even a person.
No, that's just an inanimate object.
Girl, that is some therapy shit. I need to go to the therapist and be like,
if you want to listen to part 2 of this episode.
Part 2, Kyle, why do you want to be a poodle skirt? How do you identify as a poodle skirt?
Poodle.
As a poodle. I got some poodle bangs going on.
Yeah,
I did cut my bangs because I felt good about that.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too. At the end of the day, just do whatever makes you feel good.
Do whatever makes you feel good and own the body that you live in. So that was a great episode where we got to talk about, like, our body image. Get
Stop
me
relying on that
bodied.
body.
Don't rely on that body. Touch the skin. Don't touch that skin.
Yeah.
There's some bumps in it.
Oh.
Which is okay.
That is okay.
You gotta own it, honey. So if you listened to this and you thought, I got some body image comments I want to talk about, feel free to contact us at fearthequeerpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Instagram at Fear the Queer Podcast or like us on Facebook. Just type in Fear the Queer Podcast to search for us.
Remember to like and subscribe. I want to see the reviews.
I want to hear the comments.
I want it all.
If you want 10s, we gotta, I don't even know what I'm saying with that. I'm a little drunk at this point.
If you want 10s, give us a 9.
Yeah.
Because then we'll shoot for a 10.
Exactly. Anyway, as always, I am drunk Josh.
And I'm semi-sober Kyle. And we're Fear the Queer. Bye. Stupid.
What? Well, we drank so much.
I did not.